my Tesla on autopilot going 40 miles an hour towards a fake Wile E. Coyote Roadrunner painted wall. Please stop.
I don't know why he decided to do this.
And I'm doing this to see if Tesla's autopilot can be tricked, because it famously only relies on simple cameras to navigate the world, as opposed to much more expensive tech. In fact, we're out here today to run a bunch of tests in extreme conditions to see how those simple cameras on a Tesla stack up against other fancy cars that use more advanced technology. Wow! And the story of how I ended up as a crash.
What car was that?
More advanced simple cameras on a Tesla stack up against other fancy cars that use more advanced technology. Wow! And the story of how I ended up as a crash test dummy in my own car started 6 months back at Disneyland as I was sneaking
Lex has the electric, or is that just like the technology they have to stop the vehicle?
Jacket, as you can see from this infrared camera shot, that's no ordinary jacket because it's hiding some of that fancy car technology. Yeah, baby! 43 million people ride Space Mountain every year, but unlike a famous ride like Colossus, Space Mountain is in near total darkness.
Crazy ass ride.
No one knows what the ride actually looks like, which as far as I'm concerned, needed to be fixed with a special undercover operation. True story, I have been wanting to make this video for over 20 years, way before I had a YouTube channel, because I would come to Disneyland and just be like, someday the technology will be there so we could map out what Space Mountain actually looks like. So this is a very big moment for me.
Oh, because Space Mountain's like all pitch black, right?
Needs a three-step
Never been on Space Mountain.
Step one would just be getting into Disneyland with my tech through their famously tight security. And if I managed to do that, step two would be making it through the park, avoiding any security guards on my way to Space Mountain. And finally, for step three, I would need to sneak onto the ride itself while avoiding any suspicion to make my childhood dream come true. And if all this seems like overkill, let's just say I have a bit of history getting kicked out of amusement parks.
Please put your phone away.
Follow you, man. Why are you doing this to me?
For step one, I took an oversized jacket and made a little pocket inside where I could hide my secret tech inside it. It's like the slight limp shuffle walk that really sells it, I think. Because they make you walk through metal detectors, I disguised and temporarily placed my device with a bunch of gear in my camera bag. And just had to hope it wouldn't get discovered.
We'll just wait till your eye gets fully screened in case you have an item that's
And even though this moment of truth was terrifying, I knew I just needed to play it cool. Like that.
Excuse me, can you not record the...
And the security was in fact extremely tight. But our alibi was tighter.
All right, we're in. One down, two to go.
Once inside, I
got two
immediately made my way
security
to a bathroom
checkpoints?
to properly suit up. Now I just had to make it all the way over to Space Mountain without arousing the suspicion of any of the park's
Oh, that was security to get into the park.
You might think, because it's a well-kept secret, Disney employs a bunch of security officers dressed up in plain clothes as normal park goers. So I could
That is
trust
not no plain clothes.
So in an attempt to blend in and look like a normal park goer, I took a corn dog break.
Doing this for the integrity of the mission.
That's a big ass corn dog.
Not because they're incredibly delicious.
Back on track after a close
People, I haven't had a corn dog in a minute.
All right,
Like a good corn dog with some good batter on it, man.
Time to explain why my jacket looks
That's
like
that
this
shit.
when you view it with an infrared camera, because that is a really tiny portable LiDAR scanner. So it's shooting out 640,000 laser pulses per second to fully map the surroundings. Now, as for the legality of this, if you check the back of your ticket, it says you have to obey all the park rules. And if you check their website for the rules on forbidden items, it says you can't bring in shoes with
How do we
wheels,
get from
stun
testing a
guns,
Tesla
or
to
cremated
mapping out
remains.
Space Mountain?
Yeah. But you'll notice the forbidden items list makes no mention of chest-mounted LiDAR scanners. So technically, I'm not breaking any laws by precisely mapping out this
But it's the same
entire
video,
ride
right?
to the nearest half inch.
Don't blow this, Rober. We got this.
And so after sneaking past the last of the ride security, I was finally in place. And this is probably a good time to point out that the final boss here in this control room, watching all the infrared see-in-the-dark cameras, was the one I was most afraid would shut down the whole operation. Because when we tested this out to see how inconspicuous the LiDAR would be, as you can see here, not very, as it lights up the whole place like a Christmas tree. By the way, you should know LiDAR stands for light detection and ranging, whereas radar is radio detection and ranging. Basically, it's like having a bunch of laser pointers inside this shell shooting all around the room. And each time you fire one of them, you then see how long it takes for you to see it hit the object it's pointed at. And since we know the speed of light, if we measure that time, it will tell us how far away the object is. For example, it will take twice as long to detect the laser point on an object that's 20 feet away, as opposed to an object that's 10 feet away. But how could the sensor possibly keep
LiDAR
track
is
of
used in Teslas?
640,000
Okay,
laser
okay.
pulses firing all out at once? Well, it turns out, amazingly, they
I see it
actually
now.
happen one after another. So the sensor only has to keep track of one pulse at a time. And this works because the speed of light is so fast, in fact, if you slow time way down, so the time it takes a laser to hit an object is 4 slow-mo seconds, then you can wait 30 minutes on that slow-mo time scale before sending the next pulse. So it's actually really easy for the sensor to know exactly which laser pulse it's measuring, even if that happens 640,000 times in a single second. And with that, it was time for the execution phase of Secret Undercover Operation Mousetrap.
Let's go.
It felt so good to cross off a 30-year-old bucket list item.
So I want to see if he shows like the.
But just as I feared, as our exact cart pulled back into the station, they stopped the ride and announced it was being locked down.
Oh.
Stopped the ride. Which meant I was about to have an unscheduled appointment with a bunch of dudes with muscles much bigger than mine.
Uh-oh.
But as it turns out, it was an unrelated power issue, which meant this was a mission accomplished.
That's like a dream come true. Before I even had a YouTube channel, I wanted to do that.
Is he gonna
And
show us
only
the map
critical
though?
oversight of the whole operation
Getting
was
yelled at by
forgetting
the
they took
cat?
those dumb
What the cat
keychain
said to you?
photos at the end of the ride, leaving behind some very incriminating evidence at the scene.
I forgot to put it away. That's so awesome.
That's Harrison, by the way, and he started the company that makes these super small portable LiDARs. So after mapping out a few more rides like Haunted Mansion, let's go, and continuing my painstaking efforts to blend in, we headed home so Harrison could process all the data. And a few days later, he did not disappoint.
What are we
From
watching?
the LiDAR you were wearing on your chest.
This guy is
All of this is
he's gonna
totally in the
test
dark.
And what's
out
really cool is we could visualize what was recorded as the ride progresses.
if he
And
could
so as you
trick
can see
the,
here, you get a sense of what the
Tesla
LiDAR was seeing in
autopilot.
real time as the ride progressed on. But what's even cooler though is we can now use that data to make an actual tabletop 3D model of Space Mountain with the help of our army of 3D printers. Which meant for the
Why
first
so
time ever,
many?
these question marks days were numbered.
Got it.
So while the 3D printers were hard at work, we also reviewed the data we captured from the Haunted Mansion ride, where we made two super interesting discoveries. The first is that the initial room they take you in is really just a fancy elevator so they can get you underground to transport you to the real ride, which actually isn't in this house at all. Because when you go down this hallway, you're walking under this hill you see here. So by the time you load onto the ride, you're totally outside the park. But if that's true, there should be some evidence for this besides our scan. And sure enough, there is. Because if you look back at this shot of the hill, you can actually see just the corner
Look
of
at
some
Breezy.
kind of large building. And if you check that answer on Google Maps, you can see this entire massive above ground
Hey, man,
warehouse
you know,
where the ride
gotta take care of the
actually
hair,
takes
man.
place that matches up perfectly
Know how it go.
with our LiDAR scan, which is just super clever engineering by the super talented Disney Imagineers. And the second discovery is they use a lot of
Imagineers.
super thin, nearly invisible curtains they project on that create a lot of the illusions like these flying ghosts.
That ride is pretty dope though.
And while your eye might get fooled, as you can see here, there's no hiding from the
It's
LiDAR
still
scan.
not topping
And
Colossus
so you can
though.
imagine there are some incredible real-world applications for this LiDAR technology.
Colossus was
like every day
crazy.
when your phone scans your face to unlock itself, or when archaeologists use it to find lost
Disney's
ancient
new
cities
Star
from
Wars
the
ride is like
sky,
that.
Or for example, in cars.
How
As you
is
might
it
guess, this
detecting
car
that there's
automatically
something
saved
there?
itself from crashing because it uses a LiDAR sensor. which,
Oh,
as you
this
can
uses
imagine,
LiDAR.
would have saved Wile E. Coyote a lot of pain.
So that's what the other companies are using is LiDAR.
And the reason it works so well
And
is
the
because it's
other
updating that
company,
point cloud of
Tesla, is using just
640,000
cameras.
laser measurements every second to the brain of this car, showing exactly what's in front of it. In fact, it works so well, as you can see here, I can maneuver all around these obstacles in real time with all the windows blacked out, looking just at that point cloud in a VR headset.
Yeah, that's crazy.
My Tesla on autopilot, however, only relies on simple cameras and its image processing to navigate the world. So to see if that tech is just too simple, we came up with a 6-part LiDAR versus camera headset.
Is that why Tesla's having issues with autopilot? I'm not sure.
First, Tesla versus cartoon physics test. Okay, so we're starting out with a car with the LiDAR. First test is just kids standing in the road. Not sure why he's doing that. It's very unsafe. So we
Kids
wanna be
do
extra
stupid shit.
Okay, hit it. The testing speed was 40 miles an hour. Should have put my seatbelt on, which meant
So
the
he's
LiDAR
driving
would
it.
have to detect the kid and then slam on the brakes at least 60 feet in front of him. And it turned out, that's all it
Oh shit.
Now it was Tesla's turn. This is a terrible
Kids do
feeling
dumb
I'm
shit,
saying
on
again,
God.
but it's just
And
for
this is
science.
just the camera.
Right, we are up to speed. And with just simple cameras, the Tesla was speeding fast. Oh no. But did detect the kid. Oh, God!
But it was up to you to stop.
Just not in time to fully hit the brakes. Oh no.
Oh, that was.
He was even a Crunch Labs fan.
So was that autopilot or was that him? Because that motherfucker smashed into that kid.
Emergency braking system to stop for the car. And because it assumes the driver is paying full attention while fully driving the car, it only hits the brakes when it's 100% sure there's a problem in order to avoid false positives. So the alternative is to use autopilot. And that assumes the driver isn't paying much attention. And while the downside is you get way more phantom braking and false positives,
that was ridiculous.
the upside is you're less likely to be charged with vehicular manslaughter. Because you can see here on autopilot, it actually stopped in time. So I decided to be nice and call the score 1-1, and then I'd be even nicer by using the more conservative autopilot on the Tesla for all the remaining tasks. Such as this one, where we would now simulate the kid dashing out from behind the car using some clever engineering, giving the cars less than a second
assumes
to
too
identify
much.
the mannequin and
I'm seeing it.
Here we go, getting up to speed.
I wonder if Elon ever plans on putting
Oh, kid!
oh shit.
Another life saved. Now it was the
I wonder if
Tesla's
Elon
turn
plans
to
on putting
autopilot.
LiDAR in
40
his
miles an hour,
cars.
There goes the ball. And impressively, it stopped with plenty of room to spare. Good job, Tesla. Which
That's
meant
not
we were
bad.
all tied up heading into round
I
3.
need one of those.
The fog round. Optically, with my own eyes, I can no longer see that there's a kid through this fog. The LiDAR has no issue. This will be interesting. Okay, here we go.
The Tesla's gonna run that motherfucker
Fog.
over.
So we plunged through the fog, coming to a very sudden break. Hey!
That's
Afterwards, we
crazy.
saw the mannequin was not only still standing, but it was casting a really cool long shadow.
I think that's the least of his
lasers
problems.
don't pass through solid objects,
stocks
just
will go
like how
back
you can
up, though.
cast a long shadow with the sun because
That just
light
means
doesn't
buy
pass
more
through solid
Tesla.
objects. I don't have high hopes
And them
here,
stocks
but
drop
the
like
kid
that,
looked just
buy.
as cool after the Tesla test. Oh, fudge! Oh,
Damn!
I mean, slow-mo does make everything look sort of cool, but that wasn't the only shot.
Oh my God.
That was on autopilot. The cameras didn't even hit the brakes at all. The only thing still on is the pants. That was a bad one. And now the LiDAR had taken another W. Time to make
This is
it
in rain.
The next test would see if the cars could spot the kid under a torrential
Look at
downpour
wasting
made
all
up
that water.
of maybe too much water. This is really interesting. See, the Tesla can see the kid, but as soon as it starts raining, the kid is
Someone,
gone.
the Tesla
And it
is
was
the way to
similar
go.
the LiDAR car, where you first got a clear image of the kid and the shadow. And once we started the hose, oh, you see all the water going in. LiDAR.
Oh, you can't see him at all.
Here we go. And as the wall of water started, LiDAR seemed to not slow down at all.
Oh. Oh, she got it though.
Until the last possible second. Another W. Now I just need the rain to stop. You know any good rain dances? Just back up. Oh, that's actually a good idea.
He's like, I just back up.
Now the LiDAR had surprised me. It was time to see if Tesla
So I'm just
could as
saying,
well.
Mina.
Oh boy.
Nope.
Oh boy.
Oh!
And sadly, it did not. And though I did everything I could, yeah, he's no longer with us. So it was on to the penultimate round 5, where we had 6 of the brightest lights that money could buy simulate either sunset or sunrise, or a truck in the road having its bright lights on. Would these lights keep the cars from detecting the kid? Blinding trucker light test. Let's go. The LiDAR
So
could
this doesn't have
immediately see much
autopilot
more
though.
than
It just
my
has the
lights turned
automatic
on.
braking
Oh, that's
system,
a
right?
bright light.
The Lexus.
Question remained if it would see the kid. Oh, come on, LiDAR. Oh.
It did. That's
And
good.
it did it. No problem. Just
That's super
waits till the
good.
last minute. It gets me every time. That's very bright. Time to be blinded by the light. And
I don't
it's
think the
true, these
Tesla
lights were so
working in
bright,
the
I
in the
wouldn't have
light.
seen this kid on my own. And at this point, I really doubted that the Tesla.
I don't
could
think it's
either.
working in the light.
When it pulled to a stop.
Oh, it worked.
Okay, we stopped for the kid with the bright light.
Oh, it's so it's like a shadowy figure
That
right
W
there.
meant these were the
That's
scores
cool.
headed into the painted brick wall ultimate grand finale. Scientific papers have actually been written on this exact scenario, debating theoretically what the Tesla would do. But we were here once and for all to silence all the debates with cold hard data. All right, so LiDAR is perfect and Tesla is 3 for 5. But as far as I'm concerned at this point, this one's the only one that matters.
This is crazy because how does it
All right,
detect
hit
that
it.
there's something here?
Now, as you can see as a human driver, while that looks sort of convincing, the image processing in our brains is advanced enough that we pick up on minor visual inconsistencies and we wouldn't hit it. And as for the LiDAR, it isn't looking at what image is printed on the wall. So this sort of
Oh, it's just
like
getting
wall,
a ping that there's something in the road there.
And as I suspected,
The Lexus.
no so the question was,
Yeah,
will the
Lexus
Tesla
stops really
detective
good.
Stop for this Wile E. Coyote style painted wall that was hiding yet another child staring at nothing during what might be his last minutes on Earth.
The one way to test that hypothesis. I was actually supposed to go, but I chickened out. Oh. The car may not.
Is it a
know
brick
it's
wall or
wall,
is it?
but I know it's a wall.
They added
Everything
LiDAR
your
to the
body says.
Lexus. Oh, it's not really
Whoa,
there
boy.
already. Okay.
And so I steeled myself and accelerated the Tesla
I'm seeing it now.
up to 40 miles an hour. And as the wall crept closer and closer,
They should add LiDAR to the cars.
The question was if the Tesla would detect
That's not
it
the
in time
case.
to step on the brakes. And it turned out, holy
That's crazy.
So I can definitively say for the first time in the history
That could have
of the
been a
world,
goner.
Tesla's optical camera system would absolutely smash through a fake wall without even a slight tap on the brakes.
He said, "Meet me."
My heart is gonna beat out of my chest. Turns out my Tesla's more Wile E. Coyote and less Roadrunner. Sorry, little fella. Looks like we lost 2 arms and a head. Not sure that's salvageable. I think I might Uber home.
Now I
But
gotta
that's
clean
not
all
all,
this.
folks, because while LiDAR proved itself the superior car technology, could it actually deliver on the dream of 14-year-old Mark Rober and map out Space Mountain well enough for me to make a scaled 3D printed model? And after 30 years of waiting, I'm happy to report for the
That's
first
crazy.
time ever, this is what the Space Mountain track actually looks like. Wow. This is so cool. Oh, there's me. There's me, little backwards hat. Yeah! I recognize every single one of these turns. You go up right there, and then you come down, and then it's all the right turns, right turns, right turns. Right here is where they take your picture. This is wild. 14-year-old me would be so proud right now. This is it.
So
Space
proud
Mountain
right now.
has been revealed. And thanks to Harrison's mapping technology,
What's up,
this
Nay?
means you can now actually see what it would look like to ride Space Mountain with
Hola,
all the
¿cómo
lights on in
está?
Crunch Labs, even if
Bien,
at
¿y
this
tú?
size, you'd be way below the ride's 5-foot minimum height requirement. And all of this is why I love being an engineer. You get to shape the future,
Being an
potentially save a
engineer.
bunch of lives, and accomplish even the most ridiculous 30-year life goals. If you're a teenager or adult and you've always wanted to make and build cool stuff, but just haven't figured out that first step, this is it. It's called the Crunch Labs Hack Pack. And it's basically a series of really fun programmable robots that get delivered right to your door, where we build it together and learn step by step
That's pretty cool.
kinds of engineering skills that go into making the builds on my YouTube channel. And they all work with no
That's
programming
cool
required,
for, like,
since my goal is to take you from wherever
some
you're at and
kids
level you up. You can easily hack the microcontroller
to
code
learn, like,
any
you
of these
know,
robots in a
robotics,
bunch of
AI type
ways to
shit.
completely level
It'd be a
up
cool
the
thing for them.
functionality. There's also a community where you can share your builds or post questions, as well as an AI chatbot named Mark Robot that will check your code for you and help you implement your most creative ideas.
That's fine.
On
I'm
top of all
fucking
that,
weak.
Each box has a chance to contain a platinum diploma. And if your box has it, congratulations, because college is now free for you or a loved one you want to transfer it to. Plus, you get to come out
That's
here and brainstorm
crazy.
one of your own ideas with me and my team for a day. So if you want to enhance or even just take the first step of unlocking the really fun and rewarding hobby of making stuff, just go to crunchlabs.com or use the link in the video description. We're to say thank you. We're giving away that free box as an early subscriber special.
That's dope.
Thanks for watching.
Free tuition. I would sign up just for that. Like, yo, hopefully we get this shit in the mail.